Hello students, welcome to today's video lesson. Today we shall discuss the chapter Birth, which is an extract taken from A.J. Cronin's novel The Citadel, published in the year 1937. Cronin's novel is known for its path-breaking treatment of medical ethics and led to the launch of the National Health Service. There are 3 film adaptations of the novel in Indian languages. Tere Mere Sapne 1971 in Hindi, Jibon Shoykate 1972 in Bengali, and Madhura Swapnam 1982 in Telugu. Before we go further into the story, let us first discuss a little about our author, A.J. Cronin. Archibald Joseph Cronin was a Scottish novelist and physician born in the year 1896. Some of his important works include Three Loves, The Stars Look Down, and The Green Years. Let us now get on with the story. Andrew Manson was a fresh graduate from medical school. He was an assistant to Dr. Edward Page in the small Welsh mining town of Blenheim. Andrew returned to Bringover at midnight after a disappointing evening with Christine, the girl he loved. He found Joe Morgan, a poor miner, waiting for him. He was pacing restlessly in the front of Andrew's house. Joe Morgan and his wife, Susan, had been married for 20 years and Susan was expecting their first child. Joe was relieved to see Andrew, as Susan was expecting to deliver before time and wanted a doctor to be present. Joe was there to take Andrew home for the delivery. Joe and Andrew walked towards Joe's house at number 12 Blaina Terrace. However, Joe did not enter the house as he was extremely nervous. Once inside, Andrew climbed up a narrow staircase, which led to a small, poorly furnished but clean bedroom. He was greeted by the midwife, who is a woman trained to assist women in childbirth. She was accompanied by Mrs. Morgan's mother, a tall grey-haired woman of almost 70 years. Even though Andrew was distracted and tense, he knew that the situation demanded his full attention. He checked Mrs. Morgan's progress and waited by the kitchen fire. It was a silent night except for the rustle of cinder in the grate and the beat of Joe's footsteps outside the house. Andrew's thoughts were heavy and confused. He thought of all the failed marriages around him. He thought of Bramwell, who was foolishly devoted to a woman who cheated and tricked him very badly. He thought of his superior, Dr. Edward Page, who was married but living unhappily away from his wife. He considered these instances and reasoned out that marriages were ultimately bound to fail. However, he was caught in a conflicting position between his practical, doubtful mind and his emotional heart. Susan's mother informed Andrew that she did not want anesthesia if it would harm the baby. However, Andrew kindly replied that it would not. At the break of dawn, Susan gave birth to a stillborn baby boy. Andrew was horrified, and he was caught in a dilemma. He wanted to save the boy, but he also had to save the mother. Instinctively, Andrew handed the child over to the midwife and started to treat Susan. As she lay lifeless, still under the effect of anesthesia, Andrew injected her with a hypodermic syringe. A hypodermic syringe is used for rapid delivery of liquids. It is also used to reduce contamination. Soon, Susan's heart strengthened and she was out of danger. Meanwhile, the nurse had placed the stillborn baby under the bed, almost discarded amongst a pile of wet, old newspapers. Next, Andrew channeled all his energy and attention to reviving the newborn. The newborn boy was physically well-formed. However, he had suffered asphyxia pallida, commonly known as asphyxia. Asphyxia is a condition in which the child is born unconscious, pale, and without any reflexes. It is caused due to lack of oxygen and excess of carbon dioxide in the blood. Next, Andrew began his special method of respiration. He asked for steaming hot and icy cold water basins. He alternately laid the child into the icy cold water and then into the steaming hot water. Andrew had seen that method work in the Samaritan, and he was determined to use it to revive the stillborn infant. After 15 minutes, Andrew was exhausted, but no sign of life showed in the child. He felt a desperate sense of defeat and hopelessness. He remembered how desperately they longed for a child in the Morgan household. He saw Susan's mother with her hand pressed to her throat and eyes fixed on him, willing him not to give up and praying constantly. He tried on for half an hour. He gathered his remaining strength and rubbed the child with a rough towel. He followed it by pressing and releasing the little chest of the newborn, desperately trying to get breath into the lifeless body. Then, like a miracle, the child gave a few short, convulsive heaves. Andrew redoubled his efforts. Soon the newborn broke into a cry. The pale skin soon turned pink with the healthy blood flow. He handed over the child to the midwife, took his jacket and walked out of the house. On his way out, he informed Joe about the good health of both the mother and child. It was morning outside. The miners were returning from their night shifts. As Andrew walked along with them, he was overcome with a sense of satisfaction at having done something real. With the new morning, a new life had taken birth. And along with that, Andrew's true calling as a doctor, as a giver of lives, had also received a new life. We see how Andrew remained true to his profession and carried out his duty towards his patients, irrespective of his own personal crisis. This is what the significance of a birth is, which not only gives life to a human being, but also rejuvenates all others who are involved in the miraculous process. The process of birth is associated as much with science as with the spiritual regeneration, as we see from the way Susan's mother's prayers and hopes influence Andrew's decision to revive the stillborn baby. With that, we come to the end of today's video lesson. We hope this helps you in understanding your lesson better. See you next in our recap video where we shall analyze the main points of the story.